long time, and very little has changed. Of course, they've been updated, modernized a little bit, and the motor packages have changed, or engine packages, I should say, but a lot of them are essentially entry-level open-wheel class cars powered by Ford and or Honda 1500, 1600 engines. So that's a 1.5 liter, 1.6 liter. They make about 110 horsepower, which power to weight ratio is pretty good because there's not much to these cars when you really take a good up close look at them. Total weight, as a matter of fact, is 1,125 pounds. So the 110 horsepower sounds like it's not going to be all that much, but it does get these cars moving fairly quickly. The bonus is the handling of these cars. Max G-force is about 1.8 Gs. Compare that to a Corvette, does about 0.9. So about double the maximum G-force of a Corvette in the turns. And that's essentially where these cars excel. They're not going to make that straight line power like other open wheel cars, especially ones with wings, but they handle so well, and they're a great stepping stone up out of the karting ranks. So a lot of these drivers have cut their racing teeth from a young age in the karting levels across Canada, and have now found their home in the Formula 1600 series. And what a learning curve it is. It teaches you great racecraft, too, because of the great field. So you do have to find your way through the field. If you have a problem in the race before and you have to start deep in the pack, then you have to show patience and work your way slowly up through the field and avoid any incidents. Again, open wheel, one small touch, and you'll have bent parts and pieces, and your race will be over. So we're just getting set. The field is lined up on the infield, and we can tell you that Logan Paxa, the rookie in the Formula 1600 Championship, powered by Toyo tires, the winner in race number 1 that happened a little bit earlier on today. As a matter of fact, this morning at 10:30 is when they took green for the Formula 1600s, and the weather was very different. So we were expecting it to be very sunny, very warm today, and some overcast skies joins us here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park right now. And so that has affected the overall temperature. So track temperature will be a little bit lower than what we were expecting. Still a beautiful day, don't get me wrong. But when they raced earlier today, the sun was bright. It was very warm. Track temperature was pretty high. Now the clouds have moved in, and it has changed things up just a little bit. You can see starting on pole will be Connor Janateus in the 44. Sam Baker in the 51 will be right alongside. Baker's a veteran of the Formula 1600s, has raced all across the eastern portion of this country. As a matter of fact, his dad, Dean Baker, drives in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada Series. Currently the point leader in the TCR class. So Sam Baker in the 51. Similar paint scheme to that of his father. Drives the Audi in that FEL Sports Car Championship Canada Series. So again, it's a racing thing where you often see the parents running with their kids and running in different classes, and this is a great place for Sam to learn the trade, essentially, and cut his racing teeth up out of karts and get involved in here. But he's got 53 starts so far in the Formula 1600 class. He has 4 wins to his career and 15 podiums. Connor Janateus started racing Formula 1600s in 2001. Former motocross racer, so he has lots of experience going fast, just not lots of experience in the Formula 1600s. As Chad joins us once again. Chad, the announcer here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park this weekend, and it's a big field, so that is something that we're going to be watching. It's going to be a lot of patience at the front runners, though. You look at Janateus, you look at Baker, you look at Baxter, you look at Logan Paxa. So Logan Paxa, the winner, he's been so dominant in that 64 so far in 2023. Starts in the 4th spot. So he has a little bit of work to do, and he's got to be careful.
He does, trying to maintain his championship lead, but he's been outright outdoing all these guys with his pace. Last time we were here for the Varac Grand Prix weekend, he swept the weekend, won all 3 races, completely got it done, and won earlier today over Sam Baker. Even though Baker had the early lead, Paxton was able to get it done, had to defend from a late race restart, but he still was able to cope with the pressure and get it all done, and he's continuing to show why he's the championship leader. But like you say, he's got a bit of work coming from 4th place.
Yeah, the final running order at the end of that first race: Logan Pax over Sam Baker and Connor Giannateas. That was your top 3, and it was less than a second between the top 4, as a matter of fact, as Jerry Kavanaugh in the number 4 came home in 5th behind the 65 of Callum Baxter. So Baxter in the Britain West Motorsports number 65, the teammate to Logan Paxa, will start just ahead of him in 3rd spot. But you can see the field lining up side by side down the back straightaway behind the Chevy Camaro pace car. That'll lead them through turn 8. Watch for the pace car to head off to pit lane off of turn 9. Then the start will be in the hands of Connor Giannateas in the 44. Sam Baker in the 51, who has been very good on restarts. Sam is he's one of those no-fear guys. He just drives it in a ton in the 51. We'll see if he does it on the outside of turn number 1, because that's where that 51 will be here as the front row evens up off of turn number 9. Again, it's a Toyo Tires Formula 1600 Championship here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park off of turn number 10, looking for the green flag. It's up and we're underway.
And already, just like we mentioned, great start from Sam Baker. He did this earlier where he was able to take the lead from the outside, and he once again does it as they're 3 wide into the corner behind him. They all scramble through. The outside line got an amazing start. Baker out with the lead, although he's immediately being challenged right back. Is that Logan Pax already from 4th to 1st, going for the lead, not wasting any time.
Yeah, one of the Britain West Motorsports entries off of turn 2 got a great run, and now Baker's playing defense on Giannateas as well, as it is the 64 of Logan Paxa. What a start for the young driver in his first season here in the Formula 1600 class. We talk about how good he is. He, coming into this weekend, started 9 races. He's won 7 of them. It's incredible.
Absolute lights out domination this season from Logan Paxa. Absolutely no fear and no lack of being green getting into the car and not knowing his way around. As you saw right there, 4th to 1st in a matter of corners, but now he's immediately being hounded. As we know, Sam Baker's not wasting any time. He's looking to the outside here. Let's see if this momentum can carry it by, and it does easily. Great run coming up the Maryland, ready back straight away.
Yeah, that was exactly what Sam Baker needed to do. He got the run off of turn number 5, but look at Paxa coming right back to the inside of turn 8. Sam Baker, they swapped the lead twice down the Andretti straightaway. Single file in through turn 8 and now into turn number 9. Baker will take a look on the outside, and that would have been the inside for turn 10. But again, it's single file. They'll look in their mirrors and see the other 2 cars behind tucked in single file. So you'll want to stretch that gap just a little bit as Callum Baxter in the 65 battles with the 44 of Giannateas. That's for the final podium spot. 3rd place to Baxter now.
Yeah, he takes it over. They've got a little bit of a gap to the rest of the field right now. Then comes Cole Giannateas in the 45, followed up by the number 4, Gary Kavanaugh, Antonio Constantino, Henderson Knox in the 48, Graham Lavin in the 42, and Sean Johnston rounds up the top 10 overall. Sean Johnston in the lead for 1600B right now, just followed up behind him by the 06 of Brent McPhail, and then Bill DeButt in the number 82, second in 1600B. But so far, top 4 getting away as Paxa starts to maybe put a bit of a gap between himself and Baker.
Now Baker's going to have to try and follow up, catch that draft down the straightaway from your race leader. The top 4 now have opened up a bit of a gap on Cole Giannateas in the 45, who currently sits in 5th position. There you can see the top 4, essentially 2 distinct packs of 2 cars. But that's the gap back to 5th place, and it's the other Giannateas, Cole Giannateas, who's Kavanaugh, and Antonio Constantino, who's battling in that 3-car grouping.
Great run down the straightaway for Sam Baker, makes the outside move again this time and keeps the lead. 2nd lap in a row, he's been able to do that, takes it over Logan Paxa. Whoa, they're really battling out right there. Gary Kavanaugh to the inside of Cole Giannateas. They almost touched now. Where does Antonio Constantino go? He goes to the outside. Meanwhile, look at Pax is going right for the lead. He does not want to stay in second. He goes right back after Sam Baker and retakes the lead once again, not wasting any time. And now Callum Baxter has a look of his own up the inside on Sam Baker.
Well, that's the thing about these cars is they're very much momentum cars, and once you lose that momentum a little bit, you lose the forward drive, and that's what Sam Baker, he had to play defense in turn number 1, just 1 quick second, and it may cost him another position as another Britain West Motorsports entry of Callum Baxter moves alongside. So the youngster from Nova Scotia makes a pitch for second. He'll settle for third into turn number 5, but you have Janateus right there as well. So Baxter will be watching his mirrors and defending against the 44 while trying to attack the 51. And all the while, the 64 of Logan Pax is tipping his hat and saying, see you later, guys.
And now for Sam Baker, he's not going to have that draft coming up the back straightaway because he's not nearly close enough to Pax. And this is what's going to work against him here. Look at the run that Baxter's got. Almost cuts off Connor Janateus in the process as they go to the outside. And Callum Baxter going to get through. Let's see what Janateus can do. No, he tucks back in line. Got a massive twitch of the rear end. He was out wide there. Baker had a bit of a look, trying to get back to the inside. But now it's the two teammates up front, Paxa and Baxter, controlling the race.
Never had the opportunity to drive one of these Formula 1600 cars, but turn 8 looks like it's just an absolute blast to drive through. The cars are so free. You can watch them just do a 4-wheel drift through that high-speed turn 8 at the end of the end straightaway, and that's a good opportunity for these drivers to make passes. Turn 2 is a tough one to make stick, but it looks like Constantino and Janateus. Constantino took a look in that yellow and black Brian Stewart Motorsports entry. Janateus, the white car, just in front. So again, it's tight groupings, and this is very much what you see anytime the Formula 1600 cars. It's not often you see one car just get out into the wind and take off. It's always a tight grouping. It's super exciting to watch.
I have my eye on number 48 of Henderson Knox right now. He did a great job in the first race earlier on of making his way and picking his way through the pack. And right now he's trying to do the same thing as they try to tow back up, using the tow off of Cole Janateus in the 45. You can see him kind of weaving down the straightaway there, trying to break the draft. Let's see what Antonio Constantino can do heading up underneath the Canadian Tire Bridge. He's going to go to the inside because Janateus left the door open. Kavanaugh went to the outside. Constantino trying to make it happen. No, not able to do so. He kind of got pinched off right there. And Kavanaugh almost got into the back of him coming around. And that's a real no-no in this series. Open wheels, they really don't go well when they lock together.
No, you don't make contact in this series. That is a guarantee. As Logan Paxton now with a 0.7 of a second lead over Callum Baxter, his teammate. Connor Janateus in the 44 is in third. Sam Baker 0.2 of a second back from Janateus in fourth spot. But you talked about Henderson Knox and the moves that he's able to make in race number 1 in that blue number 48, sitting at the back of that Ford car train. Believe it or not, that chassis was built in 2002. The driver from Nepean, Ontario, has tweaked on it, he's worked on it, and he's obviously very comfortable behind the wheel.
That's quite a bit of skill, and obviously quite a setup wizardry right there to keep that thing running, as old as it is, plus 20 years, but it's obviously not hampering him at all right now. Able to stay right in the train with these cars right in front of them that have been built in this decade. So that's absolute great stuff right there from the number 48 of Henderson Knox.
Becomes a little bit like an old sock. You put it on and it just feels right. So that's essentially, if it isn't broken, why fix it? The attitude of Henderson Knox. Look at Baker chasing Janateus, but the top two now, the two Britain West Motorsports entries of Paxa and Baxter, opening up a bit of a gap on the rest of the field. Look at this glut of cars, though, as Janateus in the 45 holding off Constantino in the 3, Kavanaugh, Henderson Knox in the mix as well. A 4-car battle. So this is from 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th on the racetrack right now, all behind your race leader, Logan Paxton, in the 64.
I'll tell you what, Callum Baxter not wasting any time, though. He has set 2 straight fastest laps of the race with a 1:29.213. That's 0.3 faster than Logan Paxton, so he is running him down at the front. We're going to get a little bit of a teammate battle for this win here. Baxter, I'm not sure if he's won yet this year, and you know, Pax has done quite a bit of winning this year, so say, hey, teammate, I want to get one this year. You can just sit behind me right now, but we'll see. They race a lot of respect for each other, so I doubt we're going to see any really nutshell battles coming out of those two, or at least hair-raising moments.
Well, what's interesting is Callum Baxter did make the trip to the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières. Logan Paxa did not, instead deciding to focus his racing efforts here in Ontario. But the Britain West Motorsports team traditionally takes a few drivers to the Grand Prix of Trois-Rivières. Callum Baxter did very, very well there, never finishing off the podium and picking up a couple of wins in that race. The 65 was very, very strong.
As now we look at Constantino, just a bit of the door open there. Geniteus did leave the door open. Here comes the number 3 of Constantino. They almost touched mid-straightaway, but now is the third time the charm. Yes, it is. Antonio Constantino gets himself up into 5th place. Now can he just stay there? That brings Gary Kavanaugh and Henderson Knox right back up into this. So Constantino now with some clear air. Can he try and break away as Callum Baxter, meanwhile, is taking the lead away from Logan Paxa?
Yeah, change the top spot and another fast time of the race for the 65 of Callum Baxter. And so the two Britain West Motorsports teammates have swapped positions at the front of the field. The 65 now ahead of the 64, but for how much longer? Logan Paxa in the tire marks of the 65 and following him through turn number 3, headed for turn number 4. So Baxter managed to chip away at that lead and then took it away with a fast time of 1:29.065. So that is about half a second quicker than anybody else has gone so far this race.
That is mighty impressive from Callum Baxter right now. And we'll see if he's able to leave. Oh, and the yellow flag out just as I was about to say that. So drivers going to put their hands in the air, and the racing going to come to a halt. Ooh. Oh, big crash right there for number 45 of Cole Geniteus. That's in turn 5, and the whole rear end has been ripped apart on that thing.
Yeah, you can see it is half buried into the tire wall. I think that is... Where is that exactly?
I believe that's in between turn 5A and 5B in the tire barriers there.
Yeah,
could be wrong there. Yeah, as the camera zooms out. Actually, no, I think that's
turn 2.
Turn 2, yeah. Oh,
turn
man,
2
that is a fast off.
Yeah, so that's a very tricky corner. It's a blind apex off-camber turn. So essentially the corner leans away. It's not a bank as you normally see. You can see Geniteus moving around inside the cockpit of that car as the emergency team heads to the side of the 45. So this is a big off in turn number 2 for the 45 of Cole Geniteus. He was in that battle with Constantino, a battle for 5th, 6th, 7th. Jerry Kavanaugh was in there, Henderson Knox as well. And you can see the medical team kneeling down to the side. So it looks like the back end of that car actually cut through into the tire wall.
Yeah,
you can see the back tire is one of the wheels is off, broken suspension, and obviously we continue under this full course caution as the emergency team is rushing to the aid of the 45 of Geniteus, but the back end looks like it's actually it's almost a conveyor belt that covers up the tire wall so as to stop the car from submarining into the tires. If it does go nose first, it's an added layer of protection essentially for the drivers. But it looks like the back end, so whatever happened, fun. You can see the tire marks, so it's done a figure sliding into the tire wall, and the back end actually cut into that conveyor belt and stopped in an awful hurry.
Yeah, that is cut pretty deeply into that thick layer there, but they have that for a reason, and it's so far done its job all weekend long. We haven't really seen anybody go off hard into those tire barriers. That's really the first kind of serious accident that we've had going in there. Geniteus, as you said, looked like he was moving around in the car, and they're going to try to get that thing free from the barrier and get it out of the way.
Yeah, so he is still in the number 45, which is in the tire wall in turn number 2. And the flatbed arrives on scene, but they're just talking to the driver of the 45, who is still strapped into his race car, so taking every precaution, being very careful, and going slowly.
Safety the number 1 thing in this series, obviously, and it's hopefully going to be good to see Cole climb out of that car under his own power here.
And as small as these cars are, typically they are very safe. We've seen some pretty significant incidents And it looks like the helmet is off, as one of the safety team members, I believe, has it in his hand. So looks like Geneteus has the helmet off, and the ambulance is going to arrive on scene. But we've seen some pretty big incidents in the past, both here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park and other tracks where the Formula 1600 cars race, and you can see them, they're built to come apart. Essentially, they're built to be fragile, and that is by design. So they want the cars to fall apart. They want that energy to dissipate so it doesn't get transferred to the body of the driver, and that's the number one thing. So I remember a couple of years ago seeing a car get into the concrete wall at the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières, and it actually broke in two.
Wow.
So the engine half was broken completely away from the driver compartment, and in that one the driver just simply unstrapped and he walked away. So the car did its job, and it looks as though the tire wall and the car did a pretty good job at absorbing a lot of the energy here in this incident in turn number 2. But the ambulance team on scene just to make sure that Geneteus is okay. But again, we're waiting for the update from turn number 2. And again, you mentioned that is a pretty high-speed turn, and it's a pretty dangerous. Now, years ago here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, in turn number 2, that asphalt didn't exist. It was grass, and once you got over that exit curve in turn number 2, there was no tire wall. At one point, there was just a concrete wall, and so they added a tire wall to make it extra safe, and then they added the asphalt runoff to make it extra safe as well. You can scrub off a lot more speed on asphalt than you can on grass. So constant improvements here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park to improve the safety.
Absolutely, and you know, it is a blind corner and it's fast, but that asphalt is there for a good reason. With all the things going on and with all that said, and as well with these 1600s, it kind of be unlikely to happen, but if the grass still was here and they went off in such a certain way, if that car ended up sort of hooking in the grass one way or another, could unfortunately maybe go over, but that's what the extra asphalt is there for. So it's been able to basically prevent that from happening, and it's great to see that the safety measures have been taken in more and more here, as the yellow flag obviously still out, and we'll see, maybe they might even red flag the race. I'm not sure. It's up to race control now at this point to what they do, but we're just waiting to see if Cole Geneteus in fact does climb from his car.
Obviously the clock continues to tick down here on the Formula 1600 race, and that is most of the races leading up to the NASCAR Pinty Series are timed races, and that's in order to keep the schedule moving. So in the event that you do have an incident on track, you just essentially lose racing laps. So that's why they keep the clock ticking and keep things moving along. But obviously the paramedics and safety team going to take their time and be extra careful. You can see Geneteus is out and loaded onto the stretcher in turn number 2, so he is going to be loaded into the ambulance, and we wish him all the very best. And obviously as he gets taken into the care center here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and with 9 laps complete, the field continues to cycle around. Callum Baxter in the 65, your race leader, over his teammate, the 64 of Logan Paxa. Connor Geneteus in the 44, Sam Baker in the 51, Antonio Constantino, who was in that battle with the 45 of Geneteus, Jerry Kavanaugh, Henderson Knox. We watched that. We watched that 4-car battle for so many laps just before this incident happened. Unfortunately, we didn't get a good chance to see what did happen with the 45, but you can see the left rear tire suspension has been torn off the 45.
Looks like the right rear is still on there, so maybe it looks like he went in just with the left rear, or even maybe in the left side. Possibly
it went in backwards and then it snapped back, and that's where we saw it sitting up against that tire wall. Henderson Knox in the 48 in 7th position, and then we look to the Formula 1600 B category, and the B class is not necessarily any less. I mean, it's just the older chassis, essentially, what we'll see in the Bs, and that's Sean Johnston in the 8 is leading Steve Bodrug in the 41. That's 9th and 10th overall. 1st and 2nd in the B class. Dylan McPherson in the 27, currently on the podium for the Formula 1600 Bs as part of the Toyo Tires Formula 1600 Championship here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. We're under full course caution once again for the cleanup of this incident involving the number 45 of Cole Janateus. And there you can see the damage to the back end. And you're right, it looks to be mostly on the left side. The right side doesn't appear. It's bent, don't get me wrong, but
as the cleanup crew continues to work on the tire barrier there as well, making sure it's all in order. And yes, you can see part of the layer there just ahead of the tires has been ripped in.
yeah, so that's a really thick piece of rubber. It's like a conveyor belt. Have you ever stood on a conveyor belt or looked at one? It's a really big, thick piece of rubber, and essentially it gives the tires more of a wall texture, but that wall continues to move and absorb the energy, and that's what it did. I mean, it did its job. So now the cleanup crew is going to essentially pull those tires back up to give them some space. If they keep getting packed in together, obviously, then they won't act like a tire wall, and the next time they're needed, they won't be quite as effective. So that's what the skid steer is doing in turn number 2. It's going to pull out that tire wall just a little bit and sort of puff it up just like a pillow. You do before you go to sleep. You take your pillow and you puff it up, and then you put your head down. That's what the cleanup crew is doing there for the tire wall in turn number 2. But it looks like it's going to be a quick fix. Again, 19 minutes, coming up on 20 minutes complete. 10 laps in the books of the Formula 1600 Championship race. It's race number 2. We'll take it through the finishing order of race number 1. Logan Paxo won that earlier today, much earlier, as a matter of fact. That race started at 10:31 this morning under beautiful sunny skies. So the clouds have moved in. It has cooled off just a little bit here today. But Paxo beating Sam Baker and Connor Janateus in the 44. So Baker currently running 4th, Connor Janateus 3rd, and Paxo running 2nd. Callum Baxter in that first race finished in 4th. Jerry Kavanaugh rounding at the top 5. So a lot of those same drivers still in the mix here for race number 2 of the Formula 1600 Championship. And a reminder, there's another race for the Formula 1600s, the Toyo Tires F1600 Championship Series. Race number 3 will be tomorrow morning at 10:30.
Another bit of an update there, as we just saw on our screen, the number 82 of Bill Tabat ended up coming off the track and into the garage area, so that's the end of his race. He was running up there for a while there, up in the top 3 in the F1600B category. That's prematurely going to end his race as the safety crew gets loaded up into the back of the truck and they make their way out. So it looks like that's all been cleaned up on the exit of turn 2. So we might get back to green flag racing here in the next maybe couple of minutes or so. They just got to make their way back around the track as here comes pace car. Now you can see the lights are still on the pace car as they roll back underneath the Canadian Tire bridge and into turn 8.
Yeah, I just saw the flatbed truck turn off on the inside of turn number 8. There's a little escape road there where the truck can make its way to the paddock area fairly easily, but you're right, the light's still up on the pace car, so it'll be at least one more lap under caution. I think they're just waiting to clear the officials from the track, so we'll do one more under caution and go back to green with Callum Baxter, his teammate, Logan Paxa, Connor Janateus, Sam Baker, and Constantino. And yeah, they're being shown the last lap, so they will not go back to green. That's, or is that the last lap under caution?
I think that might be the last lap under caution, because normally you would see the caution and white flag. Maybe, well, maybe it is going to be the white flag lap.
I think it is going to be the white flag lap, so I think this one is going to end under caution. The first race went 12 laps. This one is on 11 laps right now. And so rather than doing a one-lap sprint and risking other cars getting some damage of some sort, it looks like this one will end under caution as the field comes through one more time. We did have a good battle at the front between Paxa and teammate Callum Baxter, and it was a little bit of a surprise to see Baxter managed to close the gap on Paxa, knowing how dominant the 64 has been so far in 2023. Baxter got back a little bit, was almost a second back at one point, but really put his head down and started turning some very quick laps. And on lap number 6. So that was one of the final laps we had before we went to this full course caution. The quickest lap of the race, a 1:29.0, so a minute 29 seconds. 0.065. Logan Paxton, by comparison, his quickest time in the race was a 1:29.5. So it's a full half second off the quick time set by Callum Baxter.
Yeah, Baxter really got it hammered down. I was surprised how quick he caught him, because it was a decent gap in between them before he got there, and I think he got him just before the last corner. We were so focused on that battle from 5th to 8th that Baxter came slaloming through and was able to take Logan Paxton, maybe even by surprise, to get him there as they make their way through the final couple of corners and to the line. We'll see what we see here now. Baxter is making it happen, as yes, indeed, the checkered flag is out. So that will mean Callum Baxter takes race number 2 for the Toyo Tires F1600 over teammate Logan Paxa. Make it a 1-2 for them, whichever way you look at it. That's a success in their book.
And Connor Giannateas started on pole, dropped a couple of positions, but really hung in this fight the entire time. The 44 will finish on the 3rd step of the podium. Baker started in 2nd spot. He'll come home in 4th. So again, another driver dropped a couple positions, but really this could have gone any way. I mean, they were so tight for so long. The 51 coming home 4th. Constantino in the 3 will round out the top 5. But another entertaining race here in the Toyo Tires Formula 1600 Championship. The win goes to the 65 of Callum Baxter.
Overall, and I'll just give a quick shout out as well to our winner in F1600B as well, Sean Johnson, the number 8, won the race earlier, I believe, as well. So that's a double win for him today. We're just going to check our notes here and make sure. Yes, that is correct. So the number 8 of Sean Johnson takes his 2nd straight win in this. Got one more to go, and maybe he can go for a Triple Crown win coming into tomorrow. Steve Boudreau, the number 41, comes through in 2nd for F1600B, and Dylan McPherson in the number 27 will round out the podium for that class. So I believe that'll, of course, wrap this one up. And of course, coming up next, the FEL Sports Car Championship Series. Still got some nice racing to go through there. Their 2nd race of the day. And then, of course, NASCAR Pinty Series qualifying from 5 p.m. until 6 p.m. to set the field for the WeatherTech 200.